Good day, money makers. This video is going to be on the W4, but before I get into that, make sure everybody is healthy and safe from the corona outbreak and the coronavirus. We want to send out shouts and prayers to those that have been affected in any way by the actual virus, not by the mass hysteria. Okay, so many of you may not know that last year, February 28th of 2019, that the W-4, which is the form that they give you for when you get hired onto an employment or a job or something like that, has changed. If you didn't go, if your HR department didn't give you a new one from last year, they probably just rolled it over. And some of people have been affected on their taxes in the current year because they didn't go in and fill out a brand new one because the HR department didn't notify them, or if they did notify them, it was very quick. So basically, you have your basic stuff in step one. We'll go through each step, and then I'll explain each step line by line. The first one is very obvious: name, address. Make sure you got the right address, not to an old address. If you're moving, always fill out a new W-4 if you're gonna move. Uh, just just so the IRS can keep track. And then there's the filing statuses, which is single, married filing separately, which is the worst way to file is married filing separately, because you don't get enough credits and stuff like that. Married filing jointly, which you're married by the end of the year, and head of household. I want to talk about head of household. Head of household means you're single and you have a dependent or a child dependent. That makes you a head of household. Being single and paying your own rent is not head of household. That means you're single. I get that a lot at the tax desk. Well, I'm single and I'm paying my house, so I'm head of household. No, head of household means you have an actual dependent and you're taking care of the household income and bills and all that good stuff. Step two is where a lot of people get mixed up at because before it was put a one here for yourself, you put a one for your dependents, you put one here, one here, one here, one here, or put a number or whatever. That has actually changed. There's no more one, two, three type deals. It's only go by dependents and credits and different stuff like that. So once we get down the form, I'll explain a little bit more. But if you want actual accurate withholding steps, you can go to the estimator at irs.gov, get the app, do stuff like that. It's very easy with the app. You just plug in how much you think you're gonna make, and then they'll judge how much withholding you should do. If you use multiple jobs, so if you have something like two jobs, you're not gonna fill out this portion right here. You're gonna wait till the portion we get to that. If you have two jobs or if you have a separate income like Uber, Lyft, um, anything like that, it'll be going down in the further in the W-4. You don't want to do anything here. If your spouse has the same thing, if you're married and maybe your spouse has another job, you don't want to do anything here. Okay, so step C is for most people that I know. If you have one job, if you're single, you got one job, or if you're married and both each one of you have just one job, you're gonna just check the box here, and that's all you're gonna do. If it's just one job, if you switch jobs, then technically you want to go back down to further. Um, when we get down further to W-4, I'll tell you about that. So if it's just one job all year, nothing else, you check that box. Okay. Step three, if you guys have dependents, kids, people that's living in your household that you pay for more than half their support. This is the step for you. If you're single, skip this step. Um, okay, so most of us know that under the age 17, you get a $2,000 credit for on taxes. 1,400 of it is refundable. 1,600 of it is non-refundable. Non-refundable means it just lowers your tax burden. So if you got 3 kids, you put 6,000. Easy math. If you got 2 kids, 4,000. If you got 5 kids, 10,000. If you have other dependents, like if you take care of a parent, a cousin, a non-child that you're taking care of, and you pay for more than half the support, the 500, you get a $500 deduction, non-refundable deduction. So that's 500. If you got 2 people, that's 1,000. I don't know why you have 2 grown people in your house, but that's 1,000. Uh, and these can be combined too. So if you got 2 people, um, so if you got 2 kids that's under 2,000, I mean under 17, that's 2,000. And say you got a 18-year-old or a college student, you will put that 500 down there too. You add the amounts up, there you go. You put it in that box there. Step 4 is optional. You can actually have some withholding, extra withholding, taken out. Just think if you have like a Uber, Lyft, any type of side job that doesn't take out taxes, Social Security. You want to take out 15% of that actual income. So for every $100 that you make from there, you're gonna take out $15 to take out for the Social Security and your income tax. Actually, you want to take 20% if you're living in the state of Wisconsin, because 5% of that is taxed. That's the Wisconsin tax rate is 5.6. I always say 5%. Just to make it easier, you can go 6% if you want. Um, so you would do that there. So every $100 you take out $20 for taxes. If you itemize, if you have a big enough income to itemize, then you would um, put something there if you want to have extra withholding there, or if you just want to have just some extra withholding just as a savings at the end of the year. That way you can get it back at the end of the year. Um, None of that applies, then you sign here. Signature, you don't have the 2 jobs, you don't have the 3 jobs, you don't have the changing of the jobs. You would just sign, get done with it, hand it in, and that's pretty much it from that side. So if you're single, 1 job all year. If you're married, 1 job all year. If you got kids, it kind of breaks it down here. Now, going to the 2 job scenario. So if one of the job's annual wages is more than 120,000, then you're gonna have to do the 3 jobs. Okay. If one of the jobs is under that, then you would do the 2 jobs. So if you have 2 jobs and then you marry, filing joint, if your wife or you have a separate job, okay, then you will go down to the graph that I'm about to show you for the using the higher row and then lower paying job column. It sounds confusing right now, but this is how we're gonna do it. And if you have 3 jobs, I'll do that. And then what you'll do is enter the pay period amounts for the highest paying job. So you kind of roughly uh, take your income. So if you made $1,200, times that by 26. I mean per paycheck. If you make $1,200 per paycheck, times that by 26. Enter that amount here, um, and then you would divide by 1 or 2. We're gonna skip the deductions part right now, and get back to this graph here. Okay, so if you're merely filing joint, this is how this runs. Higher paying income taxable wages, lower paying income taxable wages. Okay, so you want to take the higher, your taxable wages. So minus your deductions. Actually, let me go up here before we get to that. Sorry about that. If you itemize, you want to put something there, how much your itemizations are. Maryland filing joint is 24. These are for next year's taxes. 24,800. So enter that in part 2. Um, if you're head of household, 18,650, and then 12,400. These are all next year's standard deductions. Okay. If line 1 is higher than line 2, then you would subtract that and then enter 0. Don't worry about that. most people are not going to itemize anyway. But you would just put 24,000 there if you're married filing joint. 650 there. Actually, you put it there and there. Okay. If you have anything from student loan interest that you want to take off, um, so say you're paying 2,500 for student loan interest, you can add that there, and then you will add line 3 and line 2, and then get line 3 and line 4, and then you will get line 5. So if you pay anything into your student loans, the maximum amount you can take off, I don't care how much you pay, is 2,500. So if you take 2,500 off and you add it to your standard deductions, and you can add it here. Now, sorry, back to the graph. Now this graph, it seems complicated, but it's really not. Okay, so what you're going to do is, this is the higher paying job taxable. Okay, so if your standard job makes about, this is the taxable income after the deductions. So you add both of your incomes up if you're married filing joint after the deductions, which is 24,800. So you add both of your salaries up, and after that, say you guys were made 25 apiece. So that's 26,000. So that you'll be in this range right here, okay, for the higher end and paying job. Now, say you went and got a job for like, it made like 10,000. So you will put that taxable income here. So it'll be $1,900 that you actually have to pay in taxes if you don't have any credits. Scale back up here if you didn't really have any of these child tax credits, because most child tax credits will wipe out the tax. But if you didn't, it'll go here. Okay, you see how that works? It works left to right, down and up. Okay, so what you have to do is just mainly kind of guesstimate how much you're going to make as a couple, and then how much you're going to make from the extra job, um, and then you will subtract your standard deduction, which is 24,800, and then you will go here. So the higher paying job, if you're higher paying job, and you end up with 30,000 to 39,000, but your other job is going to pay you that much, then you'll pay that much in taxes. That's how much your taxable income will be, barring any other effects, like if you took out if you had some stocks or capital gains or anything that added to your taxes. But if it's just standard there, that'll be your taxes that you'll actually owe on each one of those jobs. Okay? Married filing single is the same way. Head of household is the same way. Um, we do have a area here for if you want to exempt. Exemptions usually get written under here. So what you would do is just write exempt there. If you wanted to exempt your your income, they don't put the actual exemption in there anymore. I don't know why, but you can actually write exemption here. And then if you don't have any kids or anything, or if you had kids right there, you can still mark exempt. Um, any other questions? Just leave it in the comments down below. I've taught this class several different times actually, so it's kind of confusing. But the more and more that you learn about it, it's actually a pretty good parameter of how much you're actually going to get back, how much you're going to pay in taxes. Now, I will say, if you have two different jobs, let me get to this. If you have two different jobs, you switch a job. So automatically you won't be messing with anything up here. you're going to be going straight down to to the the chart, because now technically you had two jobs, and it kind of is kind of tricky. So if you left the job A and you only made 12,000 of that in job A, and then the other job is going to pay you um, roughly $15,000 at by the end of the year, then you will go down here if you're single, married, or head of household. So using this chart is very important. Um, a lot of a lot of HR departments don't know how to fill this out. They just give it to you and say, go on your way. But I have been reaching out to some HR departments. Me and my team at H&R Block, we're gonna probably start hitting up some HR departments here in La Crosse County, and teach this actual class, because it's kind of tricky. Again, you don't have the one, two, three system, exempt system anymore. You have the credit and deductions and graph systems. All right, guys. Protect yourself from coronavirus. Leave a comment below if you have a question. I'll be happy to answer it. Thanks for listening.